you've been watching NBS Health Extra, you will realize, or you have realized, that the doctor keeps on referencing to the fact that particular blood groups are more prone to specific or particular diseases. And sometimes you wonder, why is this so? And so for us to best understand that, it's important for us to know, first of all, how do we break down these, the different blood groups, and which blood group specifically is more prone to particular diseases, why, and why not the other, and also the possible solutions to this. So doctor, help us break down this.
Okay. First of all, as we had earlier, I don't know, the other time when we were here, we were talking about blood groups and their disease profiles. Now we have seen we are talking about genotype. Now, first of all, we are going to talk about blood groups in general.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into the genotype because we have explained them in the previous period. But generally, now what I'm going to tell you is going to be 80% per blood group, because you may be a blood group following in a particular genotype which is not prone to a particular disease. So you see, if you say me I'm O, but you say people all are getting this, me I have never got that, it means you have a genotype which is
a bit different.
So when we start with blood group O, now blood group O, as we said in the program, they have 3 genotypes which come out. Now, usually blood group O, generally, they are major victims, as I said, they are major victims of allergy. Allergy disturb blood group also much. Then they are major victims of what we call gas in the stomach. They are major victims of gas in the stomach. They are major victims of ulcers. If there are people whom suffer from ulcers, most is blood group O. Then they are major victims of arthritis. 5, asthma. 6, sinuses. 7, high blood pressure. And 8, prostate cancer in men after age 60. But the question is, why?
Why are they more prone?
For one, blood group O, according to research, was the original blood group. That's why everybody has an antigen. That's why blood group can give blood to everybody. And actually, it is believed the blood group we started up here in Africa, living in those remote areas of village, remote forests of Congo, those forests, the jungle-like sort of life. And because of that, the body system ended up acquiring a very, very, very strong immune system, because these people were living in the forest, they were living in the bush, and so on. So their immune system became so strong. That's why it is very rare that a blood group is down with the malaria, with the typhoid, with these diarrhea, dysentery, infections. No. Because the body system were meant to be very, very strong. First of all, on their blood sugar antigen, there is only glucose. So anything that tries to go there, the immune system will detect it and kill it immediately.
Okay.
So because of having and that's why blood group O's in Africa, if he's subjected to the typical rural village, bush-like life, they can live for over 100 years without much problems. It's only when you bring them in the modern life, if they don't come to time extension center, that they start getting those problems I've said. Why do they get these problems? One, allergy. Allergy is a result of a very, very strong immune system. When the immune system is very strong, it can react on anything. Dust, change of weather. If you have a blood group or change of weather in the morning, you can start coughing, sneezing, wheezing. The immune system thinks it has been attacked. Why? It was fed with the wrong foods. Now in the morning it thinks when change of weather, it gets irritated and starts misbehaving, thinks there may be change of weather, maybe there's an attack on the body system, but by 10 o'clock, he's fine.
They're okay.
So that is why they are major victims of allergy.
Okay.
Now, gas in the stomach. God made this blood group because they were living in the bush, hunting, running after animals, eating meat. They have a lot of acid. Naturally, the acid is very big in their stomach. I mean, they have large quantities of acid. Now, this acid doesn't sit in the stomach that it is there. No. With the moment you eat food, the body will circulate the acid. They have a lot of acid. That acid was put there as a preventive measure, killing microorganisms which could be on the foods they have eaten, helping in digestion, and generally, helping in digestion and killing microorganisms which have come on the food. this acid can never be reduced. When you take antacids, you can only reduce the acid which has been stimulated at that particular time.
But there's more.
But there's more will come. That's why you find people are taking antacids from January to December. For how long and for how far? So what should you do? Instead of taking antacids, come to Typex Nutrition Center, then package your diet to utilize that acid very well. Then you'll be fine.
You'll be okay.
The acid will not be a nuisance in the broccoli. Because why, now I go to ulcers, why it becomes a nuisance? If you are eating foods not compatible to your body system, at times the acid is too much created and it has nothing to do. It starts sitting in the stomach. It starts corroding the mucus, which protects the stomach wall. Then the acid starts burning the stomach wall. Then you start getting ulcers. Okay? That is one of the reasons why blood group O are major prone to ulcers. The acid is secreted and it's underused. If a blood group O starts making himself a vegetarian, taking avocado, dodo, book, and so on, he's going to have gas in the stomach, belching, bloating. Next, ulcers. Number two, because blood group O has fucus alone. Now, there is, we saw the other time, there is a type of bacteria called H. pylori, which usually goes into inhibits in their stomachs, which attacks their stomachs. Now, H. pylori really loves blood group O because O has only few cocytes isolated. And once it goes into the blood group O stomach, it digs in and starts eating him up. Even if you take one H. pylori kit, one after another, one of it, you are not going to root it out.
And
if
we
you are
know
lucky,
milk doesn't help.
milk will just promote it because bacteria feed on milk. The moment you give it proteins, they start feeding. So the only way to erode it out is to come to Typex Nutrition Center. We give you the right foods to eat. We give you some supplements which erode it out. So that's why they are major victims of ulcers.
Right.
Joint pains, arthritis. Arthritis, okay, most of the diseases, by the way, the general word we use for these diseases is autoimmune disorder, whereby the immune system actually is, the body system itself is the one attacking itself, okay? Because here there is no infection to bring allergy, there is no infection to bring too much acid in the stomach, apart from the H. pylori we have seen. Then when you go to arthritis, the other time we talked about arthritis. Arthritis is a result of a very strong immune system, because we saw when you eat foods you are not supposed to eat, they gum your red blood cells. When these red blood cells are gummed by the lectins in the wrong foods, they lodge into the joints. For one reason or for another, we don't know why it is made in blood group where they lodge into the joints. When they lodge into the joints, the clogged cells plus the lectins in the wrong foods, whenever they go into the joints, the immune system thinks it has been attacked. The battle begins. The battle begins in the joints, the joints start eating themselves out, then you start getting, people start walking when the joints are making noise, then eventually even the cartridge can start wearing away, and people are going in for operation. Okay. So that is one of the reasons. Still an autoimmune disorder. Another problem which disturbs them, of course, is asthma and sinuses. Now, asthma and sinuses are what we call asthma and sinuses is the wedding. The bachelor's party is allergy. It all starts up with allergy, getting allergic to this, the foods, eating wrong foods and getting these allergies, and then eventually they start manifesting themselves into things like sinuses and asthma. Okay. Then they have the high blood pressure. Of course, their blood is thin and they have a very high rate of metabolism. That's why it is not, when you say, for example, they become major victims of high blood pressure if they are eating wrong foods, because their blood, first of all, is thin. That's why most of blood group O, any blood group O seated on this TV now will tell you that whenever he takes coffee, he gets palpitations. Whenever he gets these stimulants, he gets palpitations. Why? Because their blood is generally thin. Okay. And they have a very high rate of metabolism. So that coupled up with the wrong foods, they are likely to have problems with their arteries. Once the arteries get clogged and you have thin blood going through, we get these blockages. Then, of course, palpitations by the heart. They actually, some of them start up with palpitations. Now, why? Now, if you look at, again, the stress profile of O's, they lie in the muscle. So if you have a blood group O not doing exercises, they start getting pains in the neck, pains in the shoulders, the whole body system. Why? That is stress. And once they get stressed, you know what is going to happen next. That's why they're victims of high blood pressure. And at times, also, there are people who suffer from what we call a blood group O can wake up in the morning when he's very sick. The whole neck is paining, the shoulders are paining, the whole body. Then he goes to the doctor. The doctor tells him, for us, we don't know what we are suffering from. Why? Now, the lectins from the wrong foods are being attacked by the immune system. Temperatures can even go up to 40. So that is the profile for blood group O. Why they have those diseases, what diseases they are likely to have initially, and what they, of course they can get other diseases like cancer. Of course prostate cancer is one of them. They can get other diseases, but those diseases I've said are what we call welcome to the disease world, Mr. Mrs. Blood group O.
Okay, so in case someone runs in, how can they be helped?
Of course, by the time if you come to Timex Nutrition Center and get your genotype diet, those things will go away. If you have them, we give you some few supplements for 30 days, the conditions will go away. And it will be normal, as long as you do what I've told you. I told you, when Timex Nutrition Center, when you live here and you go, falling sick is by option. Yeah, so that is blood group O.
Okay, and
we go to blood group A. Maybe distribution, of course, blood group O, they are about 45% of the world, in the world. And interestingly, 50% of these people live in Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why most of these conditions, see them more common in Africa. Now, when you go to blood group A, now this one, it developed at a time where when there was a lot of cultivation.
All right.
That's why they do very badly. Most of them don't do very well with the meat, depending on your blood group. There is a particular blood group A, for example, if you are blood group A genotype warrior, you are not supposed to take any meat, no chicken, no any meat products. You can't work on them. Now,
the perfect vegetarian.
Their problems generally as blood group A, they start in the stomach. Why? They are major victims of constipation, major victims of what we call running stomach. I mean, food poisoning. Why? Because for them, they are the opposite of O. They have very little acid in the stomach. So if you ate any contaminated food, there is no acid to kill the microorganism. The microorganisms are going to become a problem in the stomach. It's going to end up with food poisoning. If you ate these heaps of African foods, the food is just going to sit in the stomach. It's going to go to get constipated. So that's why their problems usually start up with the stomach. Sensitive digestive system. At times running, at times getting constipated. Why? Because of the little acids which they have in the stomach of the blood group A. Now, another thing also they have, blood group A has a blood sugar antigen called N-acetylglycosamine. Now, that is the sugar antigen which is donned by the microorganisms. So for them, whenever microorganisms enter into their body system, because they resemble the antigens on the body takes longer to know.
Right.
So
they'll be taken by.
So by the infection will be there, and it will eat him up. By the time he goes to the hospital, the infection is either plus, or and actually, these are the people where you see doctor coming running. What is the one of these results? Because they are seeing an infection which is plus, and they are seeing somebody sitting on the phone. Actually, that's why blood group A and AB, they have the same characteristic. They are major victims of sudden death. Because when diseases creep in them, if they are not eating the right foods, they take long to know. Even when cancer cells develop into blood group A and AB, by the time they are seen, they are in stage 2, stage 3. So it's very important to come to Timex Nutrition Center. Then they know their diet they know what to do. Thirdly, they don't have enzymes which are supposed to break down. There's an enzyme called the intestinal alkaline phosphatase. They have it in very little quantity. It is the one supposed to break down cholesterol. That's why blood group A and AB, they are major victims of cardiac problems, stroke, diabetes mellitus, and high blood pressure. Because of that enzyme, the breaking down of cholesterol is a problem. All those are metabolic diseases.
Right.
And actually, for them, why do the blood group have thin blood? These have thick blood. Why? Because of poor metabolism. Right. That's why they get those clots and so on. The blood group O's are likely to have arteries bursting. These ones, you have them, they are likely to have clots.
Very intact.
That is blood group.
I mean, there's a depth that comes with this breakdown, and just in the interest of time, maybe, Doctor, we can continue with that in our next episode. Yeah, a lot more. Otherwise, it is NBS Health Extra. When it comes to health, you cannot exhaust everything in just the little time that we have on the show today, but there's always more next week. So join us again next week, and you at home, if you feel like there are things that you're feeling that are a bit off, or have you been to the doctors and all you're told is we don't see anything, you're perfectly okay, yet you feel something is wrong deep within. Come through to Timex Nutrition, and Dr. Ismal Tamale here will definitely help you. Otherwise, that's about the time we had for you today. I was enjoying.
Thank you. Next time, we shall look at blood group B and the AB.
Yes, I was learning. So you're at home, be your own doctor. See you again next week.